The job of security guards and checking personnel working at airports is rather tedious. It's just an endless and boring grind standing by and slowly checking people and the luggage they enter with. Sometimes, however, they end up finding some exceptional stuff. Stuff that would send a real scare into you, or more often, stuff that's just hilariously unbelievable. Today we'll talk about 15 such incidents, but before that, make sure to subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell for new updates. Done that? Let's get right into it. Dead birds in passenger luggage. There are some rather strict laws concerning what you may and may not bring into the United States, ranging from the obvious, such as weapons, to the less apparent, such as what kind of drugs and medicinal products are allowed. In reality, livestock is also on the list, but as for deceased livestock, the rules are a little less clear. To carry anything strange, you'll need a permit if you're transporting more than weird clothing. A passenger traveling from Beijing and arriving at Washington, D.C.'s Dulles International Airport was detained by customs. They were carrying a packet of what seemed to be cat chow, but upon closer inspection, it was found to be an extremely odd and filthy box containing loads of young dead birds. There is little word out there on the exact reason for the passenger attempting to transport dead birds and their luggage. Needless to say, though, the package was promptly incinerated afterward. Gun hidden in DVD player. What could the decision-making process be behind this? Do you have any idea? We don't either. Anyone who's ever been through airports know that the main object shape that those security scanners are searching for is the shape of a pistol or any firearm. The 9mm pistol discovered in this checked luggage had been wrapped in aluminium foil and hidden inside a DVD player. Customs agents at the John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York caught it, and the man carrying it was detained. His final destination was Mexico. Certainly an interesting attempt at smuggling. You can actually transport weapons on flights, but special rules and restrictions apply, and this method certainly broke the law. If you're caught in possession of a firearm illegally, among other weapons laws violations, you'll be arrested and charged with weapons violations and charged with a massive fine. Tiger cub in suitcase. Dear viewers, we understand that tiger cubs are among the cutest animals on the planet, but we'd ask you to stop and think for a while. Airport security at Bangkok International Airport discovered a 3-month-old tiger cub hidden inside the bag of a woman going from Thailand to Iran. The 3-month-old tiger had been drugged and placed inside the luggage with a plush toy tiger. What are people really thinking? This is heartbreaking. The luggage had been designated as overweight and was x-rayed before being put aboard the airplane, and it was incredibly lucky that the x-ray revealed a live animal was hidden within. Animal control personnel were promptly brought in. The woman to whom the luggage belonged was questioned, and she attempted to explain that the luggage truly belonged to someone else, and she had no idea that a live tiger cub was inside it. The illicit trafficking of exotic pets appears to be a huge business in Iran, which was the tiny tiger's final destination. The journey would have definitely killed the tiger due to the combination of drugs and long hours of suffocation in the suitcase. Cocaine carried by man under his toupee wig. Well, this has to be quite the creative attempt. Barcelona airport security detained a guy who had come from Boggler, Colombia, because his abnormally big wig caught attention. It turns out that it was concealing, if not very effectively, a pound of cocaine taped to his head beneath. The frightened guy had 1.1 pounds of cocaine, supposedly worth $34,000, neatly wound up in a nice little bundle under his extraordinarily high hairpiece. He would be apprehended by Spanish authorities and then later extradited back to Colombia to serve serious jail time. Imagine the guy's nervousness. It was obvious that the setup was not going to convince anybody at all. Man attempted to smuggle 94 iPhones. A man was stopped at Hong Kong airport with 94 iPhones strapped to his body. Clearly, having this many phones taped around yourself can make you walk a little strange, which is how the guy initially drew the attention of customs officials as he attempted to smuggle a whole bunch of then new iPhones from Hong Kong into the mainland China. Back then, importing iPhones to sell was a thriving though legally problematic business before the government of China asked Apple to clamp down on the practice. The funniest aspect of this tale was that he passed through the metal detector, and guess what happened? All of the sirens and lights went off, and the stockpile of contraband was promptly caught. If he had made it on board the plane, you have to wonder if he was prepared to remember to switch off all 94 of them. 200 tarantula spiders in suitcase. The finding of 200 live tarantulas in the baggage of a German couple raised some serious eyebrows. The bag was being scanned at an airport in Amsterdam as they waited for a connecting aircraft between Peru and their home destination. Airport security would detect something odd about this bag, so they took a deeper look, and what they uncovered is the stuff of some people's worst fears: boxes and boxes of live tarantulas, as well as a slew of other creepy crawlies, such as millipedes, beetles and grasshoppers. Clearly relieved at being discovered, the insects then began to flee. You can imagine the commotion that occurred, with grasshoppers leaping all over the place. The bugs were gathered and successfully trapped, and they were swiftly confiscated, which is no doubt a relief for many arachnophobes. As for the couple, they were detained on wildlife smuggling charges. Man caught attempting to travel with human bones. It's difficult to guess what this German professor was thinking while passing through an airport in Rome. When confronted by customs officials who were interested in the human remains that he had in his suitcase, the man had no idea that it was illegal to transport dead bones across borders and claimed that he'd purchased the skull from a market stall for €50, saying that it was well polished, but without its lower jaw. Anyway, the professor would be arrested for illegally possessing human remains and his unusual appearance. The skull was later sent to the forensics lab of the Italian Carabinieri police force to try and find out a DNA source to establish an identity for it. A $1.2 million hoard of gold bars. Let us know in the comments if you understand what occurred here, since we're left scratching our heads. A stash of literal gold bars was discovered in the bathroom of an airplane during the routine end-of-day check. 2 bags filled with no less than 24 of these bars of gold were discovered by staff as the plane was returning to Kolkata after the night after having travelled from Mumbai to Bangkok earlier in the day. But how does a person go about misplacing a couple of bags of gold in the place of a plane, then getting off that plane and just going home? Baby monkeys and lemurs found in a suitcase. These are small wild creatures that have had plenty enough. A man had travelled from Vietnam to Russia with a bag full of monkeys before anyone detected any strange noises emanating from it. That was when border cops would unpack his bag to discover 5 baby monkeys and 5 baby lemurs in wicker boxes crammed into the case. He was ultimately apprehended at the Russian airport customs. The animals had clearly suffered on their journey and had apparently travelled the entire time without adequate food or water. As a result, the man was detained and charged with a variety of offences, including animal cruelty and smuggling. The creatures were subsequently sent to the Moscow Zoo for treatment. 2 migrants hidden under mattresses. Imagine feeling so desperate for a better chance at life, for the chance to simply be alive, that you'd risk your life making the dangerous and expensive journey from your home to Europe. That's how it is for thousands of people who have been displaced by war, poverty and disaster as they try to find a way to survive and support their families. The way these stories are often depicted misses so much of the humanity that lies within them. That's how these 2 young men ended up themselves sewn into mattresses, being transported into Spain at the hands of a human trafficker and eventually into the custody of Spanish border officials. It's both sad and extremely unsettling to think for a second how it might feel to be locked for days inside a cloth coffin with no light, hardly able to breathe, and wondering whether you'll ever get out. Charges for human trafficking were handed out promptly. Cocaine under fake baby hump. An attempt to smuggle 2 kilos of cocaine from Colombia to Canada in a fake pregnancy belly was thwarted before it even got off the ground. A 28-year-old Canadian woman was apprehended by Colombian border officials who apparently noticed that the bump was unusually cold and hard. They then discovered a large stash of cocaine hidden inside the latex belly. People do strange things for a variety of reasons, and sometimes they just don't have a choice. And because of some other selfish person that probably forced her, this young woman is sure spending a lengthy and heinous jail term in Colombia. Smoke grenades found in passenger's bag. Although it appears that purchasing and carrying military-grade smoke bombs is totally lawful in New Jersey and much of the United States, it's not legal to carry them aboard passenger planes for a good reason. Imagine what would happen if these things went off in the cabin in mid-flight. This guy had wrapped 6 smoke grenades in thick bubble wrap and put them inside his carry-on before attempting to take them to the Dominican Republic. They confiscated the smoke grenades but permitted the passenger to hand them on to a friend of his who was not scheduled to fly, and he continued on his way. In a similar incident, a woman has been caught carrying a grenade in her pants. But why a grenade and why there? Can't imagine what'll happen if it explodes. Boy smuggled in bag. A small boy was attempting to flee conflict from the Ivory Coast upon being called by his immigrant father in Spain. He endured the long journey from Ivory Coast to the northern shores of Africa in Morocco. He was intercepted in the Spanish enclave of Ceuta in North Africa by local airport security quite randomly, and a woman to whom the suitcase belonged was stopped. This story's central character was finally reunited with his mother living back on the Ivory Coast. However, we hope a proper solution is reached for the family to find a better life elsewhere as a single unit. Fish in skirt. This is officially one of the most ridiculous smuggling instances ever. When border officers believed they heard a strange flipping noise coming from a woman's waist, they halted the woman coming into Melbourne from Singapore as she sought to pass through customs. There was definitely something fishy about this lady upon closer examination. The officer would discover that the woman was wearing a specially designed type of apron under her skirt, which had a lot of pockets inside, which were bags upon bags of live fish, all of which looked like carnival goldfish peering out from sad little plastic bag bowls. Smuggling wildlife is a serious felony in Australia, which has some of the strictest customs rules on the planet, and if she's found guilty she might face a lengthy jail sentence as well as a hefty fine. In another bizarre incident, a British woman was stopped by security in the airport in Athens when passing through the metal detector. Turned out she was wearing a chastity belt as a fidelity guarantee for her husband during her vacation. 48 live eels caught being smuggled. Even if eels are your favourite snack and you really feel like that strange wobbling fish, you should not do this. Why would you need quite so many of them anyway? There was a group of people flying from Madrid airport to China who had 48 live eels in their checked luggage. Instead of being crammed into a bag, the eels would be kept in special refrigerated luggage in a rather merciful move. It's not legal to smuggle a whole bunch of eels through customs and onto an airplane, and the culprits were arrested in the end for smuggling and wildlife endangerment. These examples were just a few among many other instances of really weird stuff found by airport security. Did this list change your opinion of airport security personnel? Maybe you've gained new perspectives and information. Add your own experiences in the comments. That's all for today, our dear viewers. Let us know what you think of this list in the comments below. Add any examples you think may make this list better. Please remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell for new updates.